Most people planning to go full-time in an RV ask one question before anything else: how much solar do I need? And most of the answers they find online are either too complicated, too vague, or built around a specific rig that has nothing to do with theirs. Here is what nobody tells you up front. The answer is not a number, it is a calculation. And once you understand how that calculation works, you will never have to guess again. Stick around. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to size your solar system for your actual lifestyle, not someone else's. Here is a story that plays out constantly in RV forums and Facebook groups. Someone researches solar for weeks. They buy a 200-watt panel kit, wire it up, and head out on their first boondocking trip feeling completely prepared. By the second afternoon, their batteries are at 50%. By evening, they are rationing power. By morning, they are driving to a campground with hookups just to charge back up. The problem was not the solar panels. The panels were doing exactly what 200 watts of solar can do. The problem was that nobody helped them understand what 200 watts actually powers in the real world and whether that matched how they actually live. So let us fix that. There are three things that actually determine your solar needs, and one of them surprises almost everyone who is new to this. Factor 1, your daily power consumption. This is the number most people focus on, and it matters a lot. But it only makes sense in context of the other two. Your daily consumption is measured in watt-hours. 1 watt-hour is what you get when you run a 1-watt device for 1 hour. A 50-watt fridge compressor running 8 hours a day uses 400 watt-hours. A 45-watt laptop running 6 hours uses 270 watt-hours. These numbers add up fast. We will build out a full real-world example in the next section. Factor 2, your battery bank capacity. Your solar panels collect energy during the day. Your battery bank stores it for the night. If your battery bank is too small, it fills up before sunset and the excess solar energy is simply wasted. If it is too large for your panel array, you will never fully recharge it in a single day. This relationship between your panels and your battery is the most commonly misunderstood part of the whole system. Factor 3, where you park and for how long. A 400-watt solar array performs very differently in Arizona in July versus Oregon in November. Peak sun hours vary dramatically by location and season. In the Southwest desert, you might get 5 to 6 peak sun hours per day. In the Pacific Northwest in winter, you might get 1.5. This matters because your effective daily solar harvest is your panel wattage multiplied by your peak sun hours. So 400 watts times 5 hours equals 2,000 watt-hours of usable energy on a good day. The same 400 watts in low sun conditions delivers less than 600. That gap is why so many people feel underpowered on their first cloudy stretch. Now let us build out a real power example, so you can see exactly how this math plays out in practice. Let us build a realistic daily power budget for a couple living full-time in a 28-foot travel trailer. This is one of the most common full-time setups, so the numbers should feel familiar. A 12-volt compressor fridge running about 8 hours a day uses around 360 watt-hours. 2 laptops at 45 watts each running 6 hours add 540 watt-hours. Phone charging for 2 people adds about 40. A LED lighting for the evening adds 100. A ceiling fan running 6 hours adds 210. The water pump, used in short bursts, adds roughly 30. Add that up and you are looking at approximately 1,280 watt-hours per day. Call it 1,300 to account for small items and rounding. That is the baseline. Now let us size a system around it. To run that lifestyle comfortably off solar with minimal generator use, you want your battery bank to hold at least 2 days of capacity. That gives you a real buffer for cloudy days. With lithium batteries, which are the standard recommendation for full-time RV living because you can safely use about 80% of their rated capacity, you need roughly a 100 amp-hour lithium battery at 12 volts for every 1,200 watt-hours of daily use. That couple needs a 200 to 300 amp-hour lithium battery bank as a practical minimum. Now for the solar panels. In average sun conditions, assuming 4 peak sun hours per day, You divide your daily watt-hour need by your peak sun hours. 1,300 divided by 4 equals 325 watts. Add roughly 20% for real-world losses from heat, wiring resistance, and partial shading, and you land at around 400 watts of solar as a solid starting point. 400 watts of panels, 200 to 300 amp-hours of lithium storage. That is the core system for a full-time couple with a moderate lifestyle. Now let us talk about the mistakes that cost people the most money in this process. Mistake 1. Buying panels without matching the battery bank. This is the most common and most expensive error. People often buy large panel arrays thinking more panels means more power, without upgrading the battery bank to match. The result is wasted solar harvest every afternoon as the battery hits full charge and the panels have nowhere to send the energy. Mistake 2. Choosing lead-acid batteries to save money on a full-time setup. Lead-acid batteries are not a bad technology. For weekend campers, they make sense. For full-time living, they create real problems. You can only safely use about 50% of their rated capacity. A 200 amp-hour lead-acid bank gives you 100 amp-hours of usable storage. A 200 amp-hour lithium bank gives you 160. Over a couple of years of daily cycling, lithium holds up significantly better. The upfront cost is higher. The cost per usable cycle over time is lower. Mistake 3. Undersizing the inverter. An inverter converts your battery power from DC to AC so you can run standard household devices. People buy a small inverter to save money, then find they cannot run their coffee maker, hairdryer, or Instant Pot without tripping it. Check the starting wattage of any appliance you plan to run, not just the running wattage. A coffee maker that runs at 900 watts can spike to 1,200 at startup. Size for the spike, not the steady draw. Mistake 4. Ignoring the charge controller type. A PWM controller is cheaper and works fine for small systems. An MPPT controller is more efficient, especially in cold weather or partial shading, and becomes worth every extra dollar at 400 watts and above. The efficiency difference can be as much as 30% in certain conditions. That 30% is the difference between a full battery by 2 in the afternoon and a battery that barely recovers before sunset. Coming up, we are going to cover the scenario that breaks most beginner setups, 3 straight cloudy days, and the strategies that actually work. 3 straight cloudy days is the real test of any solar setup. 1 overcast day, most systems handle fine. 2 days starts to show weakness. 3 days without meaningful solar input will drain nearly any battery bank that is not paired with a backup charging source. Here is what experienced full-timers actually do. They treat solar as their primary charging source and build in one backup. That backup is usually a generator, a DC to DC charger connected to their tow vehicle's alternator, or shore power at a campground when needed. The goal is not to design a system that survives indefinitely without sun. The goal is to design a system that covers 90% of your days and gives you a simple fallback for the rest. Here's a quick breakdown of recommended system sizes by lifestyle. For weekend and occasional campers, 200 watts of solar and 100 amp-hours of lithium. Handles the basics comfortably without overspending. For part-time full-timers in mild climates, 400 watts and 200 amp-hours of lithium. A solid starting system that covers most needs. For a full-time couple in mixed climates, 600 watts and 300 to 400 amp-hours of lithium. The setup that gives you real flexibility across seasons and locations. For full-timers who work from the road across all climates, 800 to 1,000 watts and 400 to 600 amp-hours of lithium. This is the system you build toward once you know your actual consumption patterns. It handles serious workloads, light air conditioning use, and extended cloudy stretches without the low battery anxiety that ruins a trip. One practical truth from spending time talking to full-timers who have been living this way for years: almost none of them regret going bigger on the battery bank. Almost all of them regret going too small. Here is the short version of everything we covered. Figure out your real daily watt-hour consumption first. Size your battery bank to carry at least 2 days of that load. Size your solar array to replenish a full battery on an average Sunday in your most common locations. Choose MPPT over PWM at any system above 400 watts. and plan a backup charging source so that cloudy weeks do not derail your entire setup. RV solar is not complicated once you understand the relationships between panels, batteries, sun hours, and consumption. The mistake is buying a system before you have done that math. The reward for getting it right is genuine energy independence. Waking up in a desert canyon or a mountain forest with a full battery bank and no hookups required. If you found this useful, we have a full guide coming up on building a 200-watt camper van solar system from scratch. That video goes deep on wiring, component selection, and the step-by-step build process. Click the link on screen now to watch it. And if you want practical guides on every aspect of RV living, off-grid power, tiny homes, and self-sufficient outdoor life, this is the right channel for you. Subscribe to Self Campers for no-nonsense guides on living and thriving outside the conventional home. New videos every week. We will see you in the next one.